Hi, I'm Cheryl Matt. When I'm not helping professionals and business owners increase their productivity and create efficiency of day-to-day operation, I'm listening to the P.O.W.E.R podcast by EVB.
Being a woman in business can be demanding and draining, but that has never deterred a determined woman to go after her dreams. That's why you're in the right place. This is the Power Plug Podcast, brought to you by EVB, where we believe in the power of you. At EVB, we're proud to be the first community bank in Virginia to reach out to women in business with a customized program designed to meet your unique needs. In each episode, expect to hear engaging interviews filled with advice, insights, and recommendations to charge you up and build your business. Now, for your host, Mary Foley.
Welcome back to the EVB Power Plug Podcast, the place for P.O.W.E.R, the potential of women entrepreneurs realized, and women in business with an entrepreneurial spirit. Now, I got to tell you, our guests have so many great tips and ideas. In fact, I keep learning myself and keep making changes to my own business because of it. Like when Dorothy Broderson talked about why VoIP is a faster, cheaper, better business phone system, I realized I could have more of the phone service I wanted at a better price and feel the satisfaction of spending money in my local community. So that's what I did. Dorothy and I talked afterwards. I'm an Infotel Systems customer and loving it. But then, like Barry Allman with EVB talked about how every business owner can benefit from their treasury management services. And he had two really specific ideas that I wasn't using, that I could save time and money. And I put them to use right away. I got bill pay and I got mobile deposit set up with my EVB Power account. So I'm telling you, there's great stuff here. It's not all about me. You can use these ideas too. And I have a feeling that today's guest may cause us all to take some action as well. Today, we're talking with Cheryl Matt, owner of CBM Business Consulting in Richmond, Virginia. And she helps business owners and professionals implement solutions that optimize their time and also resources, allowing them to get more done in less time. Gotta love that. In fact, her clients, she saves 2 to 10 hours or more a week with 4 of her proven strategies. I'm thinking, dang, I like one of those. Well, one of the smartest tools she encourages just about every one of her clients to use is LinkedIn, which has really gone through a recent huge platform rollout. And you may have experienced it yourself, or it is coming to your LinkedIn account soon. So that's what we want to get her advice on, her expertise today. So Cheryl, welcome to the EVB Power Plug Podcast.
Thanks for having me today, Mary.
Well, I'm glad you're here because it's very timely to talk about LinkedIn with all those changes. So I want to ask you kind of a big loaded question. How has LinkedIn changed? Why has it changed? And what can we expect with the updated platform?
Well, as most people probably know, Microsoft purchased LinkedIn, and they've updated the user interface, which is what users see and how the platform works, to more closely align with their mobile version of LinkedIn. And they're rolling it out in waves, so people will be getting the new version within the next several weeks if they don't already have it. And in addition to the way it looks, they've tried to streamline the navigation to make it more intuitive for users. And they're trying to also give users more information that's applicable to them. Through a combination of algorithms and their human editors, they try to put things in your feed that are interesting to you and will be helpful to you.
Okay, so it sounds good. Sounds like, all right, the mobile version may have kind of led the way for the new design. They want that to match up with the non-mobile version. Like I use it often, through my main computer. More intuitive, all right, that's always helpful. And I love this idea of more info that might be applicable to me. All right, so that's the why, but there's also just the overall why of LinkedIn, because there's lots of social media options out there. We all know it. I mean, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, the list goes on. Why should a business owner or professional use LinkedIn? What's its importance, really?
Well, LinkedIn is the only totally business-focused social media platform out there, and it's the most often used platform by B2B content marketers because there are over 467 million users worldwide. And with 2 members joining every second, it's definitely the place to be, and it's also where you reach your top decision makers.
Oh my gosh, 2 members a second. I didn't know idea it had 467 million users worldwide. How many of those are in the U.S.? Not that our business is limited to U.S., but most of the people listening to our podcast today are in the United States, do a lot of their business regionally and locally. So about how many in the U.S.?
There are about 133 million in the U.S. alone.
Okay.
And there are all kinds of reasons other than the fact that it's the biggest, business-focused social media. LinkedIn is great for creating awareness, and it can help you improve your reputation. And being online on LinkedIn is a great way for you to get in front of your potential clients, for them to know, like, and trust you, because as you know, that's how people buy. They buy from people that they know, like, and trust.
Mm-hmm.
So when you use LinkedIn to stay top of the mind of, your potential clients, they're more likely to think of you when they have a need that falls within your expertise.
Yeah, because, when it first started, I always thought of it and referred to it as kind of like the online Rolodex. And then,
right.
And I'm sure we've got some people listening going, okay, I've heard, is that Rolex watches? No, it's Rolodex. All right. And that was a paper
Come on, Mary,
spool of things.
You're
I
dating
know.
yourself
I know.
here.
I'm dating myself. I might even marry myself. But anyway, I'm just thinking that that's how it started. But it clearly has evolved. So what you're saying about creating awareness and reputation, sometimes it's a shift I notice that some people haven't made. I'm wondering, though, in your opinion and in the clients that you work with, do you ever find someone who doesn't have a LinkedIn account? And if so, are they kind of at risk for anything, not to be there?
Yeah, it's rare when people don't have some kind of presence on LinkedIn. But if you don't have a LinkedIn, people might not think you're for real, because most business owners are listed on LinkedIn, and it's a great platform for them to use for content marketing and to get their name out. It's also great for lead generation and building traffic building, bringing people through LinkedIn to your website. And it's also great for, getting insight into your customers by what we call just listening, which means just reading what's on there and actually not even posting, but reading what's on there as well.
Mm.
So it's just a great, tool. HubSpot says that it's 277% more effective than any other social media for businesses. So it's silly for businesses not to be on here, because there's just so many ways to use LinkedIn. And you mentioned that people think of it as a Rolodex. Some people think of it as an online resume, and it's not any of that, really. I mean, people need to think of it a little bit differently. It's definitely a tool that people can use to build their business and to, grow it even faster.
Well, this whole idea of growing your business, I want to talk about that and ask you, what are some ways that we can actually identify new people who would be good prospects for my business? How do I do that on LinkedIn?
Well, first of all, the power of LinkedIn is in the connections that you have. So you want to be sure that you're always putting your new connections in there. When you go to a networking event that day or the next day, make sure that you connect with them on LinkedIn and bring them into your network, because the more people you have in your network, the more powerful your message is going to be. So you definitely want to keep your connections updated with everybody that you know. And the thing about LinkedIn is that, you not only have access to your connections, but you have access to your connections and your connections. So there's a second degree connection and a third degree connection. So it just grows your network exponentially when you connect with people.
Okay, so I was just going to say, there's one takeaway right now for every one of us. You said when you go to a networking, a live networking event, or probably anytime you're meeting a new business person, reach out on LinkedIn right afterwards. Duh. Okay, great. All right.
Right, and make sure you say, hi, it was a pleasure to meet you at the such and such event. I'd like to add you to my LinkedIn, so that they'll have some frame of reference of who you are.
Yeah, good idea. Okay. Well, there's also a ton of groups on LinkedIn. I know I'm a part of a few of them, but what's really, it can be overwhelming. I'm like, oh, yet another group or something else to participate in. What's the best way to use groups for my business? Maybe for lead generation, or maybe I did a listening in, as you were saying.
Right. Well, you are allowed to join up to 50 groups. Of course, I wouldn't recommend this because you can't obviously keep up with 50 groups. So I would recommend only joining as many as you have time to participate in, because that's where the power comes from, is participating by answering questions or listening. And when you join groups, you should try to join the groups that your potential customers are in. Don't join all the groups your competitors are in. Join the groups where your customers hang out.
Okay. And should we also join groups with either our competitors or an association or, colleagues of the same kind of profession? Is that also smart?
Well, yes, it is. To me, the best groups are the ones that have your potential clients in. And you can join industry groups, or if there are certain businesses or certain industries that you're interested, you might want to join their association groups. You can join the groups where your competitors hang out, but that might not be the best way to find potential prospects.
Well, yeah, I got it. Okay. Is there a really kind of go-to simple way to search for groups if I'm not familiar with what groups may be available?
Well, with the new user interface, they've gone to just one single search box, which is at the top of the page, and you can type in keywords for special interests that you might use to find your prospects, and that'll help you pull up some of the groups that you might be interested in joining. And this is a little sneaky, but you can go to your competitors' pages and see which groups they belong to see if there are any good groups listed there, because sometimes you can find them quicker that way. And then there is another thing about connecting with people, and people are kind of trepidatious about looking at other people's LinkedIns because it records that you look there. But that's a great tool for making further connections, because if somebody looks at your profile, they've looked at it for a reason. So it's a great opportunity for you to then contact them and say, hey, I noticed that you checked out my profile. If you like to chat about XYZ, let me know, or whatever. And so it's a great tool for a reason to connect with people.
I love that. That's a great idea. Oh, wow. Already some good takeaways and ideas about LinkedIn. Hey, listen, Cheryl, we have to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to ask you about how to get the most out of our profiles, because we have to create one to even exist on LinkedIn. And I know there are some that just don't look right to me personally. So hold on. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Julie Hill, the Director of P.O.W.E.R at EVB. As a woman in business, you know that it all comes down to great relationships with your customers, employees, and suppliers. That is why it's critical to have a banking partner who truly meets your financial needs and someone you know and trust. And that is why we've designed the P.O.W.E.R program to help you make valuable connections. Whether it's with one of our small group P.O.W.E.R join-up sessions, sponsor events, online P.O.W.E.R member directory, or the P.O.W.E.R Place Facebook group, we want to help you create great relationships to grow your business. To find out more, go to evbpower.com.
Welcome back. This is Mary Foley, and today I'm talking with Cheryl Matt, owner of CBM Business Consulting in Richmond, Virginia. And we're talking about the recent changes with LinkedIn and how to make the most of this important business social media tool. So, Cheryl, I want to ask a fundamental question. I mean, fundamentally, every LinkedIn account has to have a personal profile. What are some real savvy ways to set up the personal profile so people who look at it go, yeah, I want to connect with her?
Yeah, first of all, I can't overemphasize the importance of creating a great profile that clearly communicates what problem or pain point you solve for your potential customers or clients. It's your first impression for people who visit LinkedIn, and it's a 360 view of your business to your prospects. So you want to make sure that you've got it right. And to me, there are three important parts of your profile, the most important parts, I think, and I call it your trifecta. And the first part is your picture. And you must have a professional picture. So don't use a picture from somebody's wedding or, out in the yard or whatever. Get a professional picture taken. And if you can't do that, then at least take a picture in your professional clothes, whatever they might be, in front of a blank wall so that it looks semi-professional. The second part is your headline, which is what it defaults to your last job title, but you can change it, and you should absolutely change it and give great emphasis to the first three words that you use, because those words follow you everywhere you go on LinkedIn. So your name, your picture, and your headline shows up every time you like or share something or you post something. So it's like your mini, it's not your 30 seconds, it's your 3 words. So, it's important to get those things right. Well, there are actually 120 characters, but depending on where you're looking at it, sometimes only the first 3 words show up.
Got it. Okay.
And I also want to point out that if you have a headshot, your profile is 14 times more likely to be found than if you don't. Because when you're looking for somebody, especially if they have a common name and they don't have a picture, people just, those profiles that don't have pictures are pretty much invisible. People just scroll right past those. They don't even read any further because they're like, if they don't have a picture, then I'm not going to deal with them.
Yeah, I almost think like something's not right here. Listen, they're not even willing to put up a picture, or they aren't taking the time to do it. I'm wondering if they're even legit. Okay, so you talked about picture, you talked about headlines. I want to know the third of the trifecta.
The third is the way you put your name in there. So you want to use a consistent name across all social media platforms that you use. And LinkedIn has a field for your first name and your last name, and that's what you should put in there, your first and your last name. You shouldn't put titles and other words in there, because when you do, it makes it more difficult for people to find you when they're searching for you.
Okay, so like if sometimes you use a middle initial and other times you don't, you really need to be totally consistent.
Absolutely.
Okay. So those 3 things. Now, I'm just curious. After I get those 3 down, what is the section called? The first at the top, the field, the summary.
The summary.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, that there's a lot of different opinions and such. So that if it's not a resume, what should I put in there?
Okay, that's like an executive overview, like what you would put on a resume. But when you're writing your summary, you should always write it in first person, and you should write it as if you're speaking to your potential clients. So it should be totally focused on their needs, their pain points, and how you're going to help them solve those pain points. And the one thing that most people forget to do is to include a call to action in their summary. And what I mean by that is have something in there that says, click, go to my website to download a free white paper or a free tool, or click here to do this, or, tell them what you want the next step to be. And also include your contact information in your summary, because after all, that's why you're on LinkedIn, because you want people to be able to contact you. So make that front and center so they can do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I have to say, of course, I went on LinkedIn to look at your profile, and I was wondering how you did that, because I'm like, I got to learn from this gal. And I would encourage everyone to go onto LinkedIn, look up Cheryl Matt, look at Cheryl's profile, because the summary was so easy for me to go, I get exactly what you do, who you do it for, and the results, and that call to action is right there. So you actually don't just give the advice, you follow it, which is fantastic. But I'm also wondering, you're really using this personal profile for business purposes. It is a business social media platform, but there's also things called business profiles. So I want to know, what's the difference, and should I have both for my business?
Well, it's actually called a company page, and you can't have a company page without a personal profile. So on the company page, you highlight things that are going on within your company. Maybe you have some upcoming events or some information specifically about your industry. You'll want to post it on there. And when you have a company page, you should have all your employees linked to the company page so that they can become your actual ambassadors. So when people look at your company page, they can see who you actually employ, who's part of your company. And it's a great way to showcase specialist services or anything that's new going on in your company. You can put slideshows on there. It's just another place for you to be able to kind of give further detail about your company.
Okay. Now, but how important is it for me to do? I mean, does it really add that much more traffic, or are there certain situations where it really makes more sense than others? Can you give some advice about that?
Well, it's definitely not as powerful as personal profiles, but it's a good idea to claim your company page just like you claim your company everywhere else on the internet, because if people happen to look for you and you don't have a company page, they wonder again if you're for real. So it's nice to have something over there, but people spend more time keeping their personal profile updated than they might on their company page.
Okay. All right. What are some practical ways to integrate LinkedIn into our daily routine, or is daily just overkill?
Well, Mary, I'm a big proponent of strategies and processes, so I recommend that you have a process for LinkedIn as well. And I think you should go in there every day and just kind of spend 10 or 15 minutes checking in on what your notifications are, replying to those. Spend some time growing your network by entering any new people in that you've met in the previous day or couple of days. And then also you can decide what your strategy is. So, for example, you might decide, I'm going to connect to 3 new people a day, or I'm going to post content at least once a week, or I'm going to look at my connections and try to connect with at least 5 second-degree connections, or contact some of my first-degree connections, asking for introductions to second-degree connections. But just make a plan of whatever you think will help grow your business. Or maybe it's going to be how many people that you, what I call warm call instead of cold calling. You either, ask for a introduction from one of your connections to a second or third degree connection, or you can just directly go to the person and say, I noticed that you know Mary Foley. I would love to, get together and chat with you about XYZ or whatever. Just make a plan and stick with it, because when you do that, it's more likely to happen, and it just becomes part of your day, just like checking email.
Yeah, it does. So, figuring out that strategy, it's there's so many options to do that. It really is an individual type of figuring it out for your business, isn't it?
Right, and you don't have to do everything every day. You could set aside Monday to be the day that you make new connections, and Tuesday is the day that you post an article, or Tuesday is the day that you post somebody else's article, which is called curating, and you add your 2 cents in and put that out. And it's kind of like content. I mean, you haven't written the content, but it's useful content that you think is useful for your audience. And that I do want to point out, when you comment and share and post on things, you should try to limit your conversations to things that can be tied to what it is that you do. Because if you just comment and post on everything, people don't get a good sense of who you are and what you do.
So of really go in with the idea of, here's the problems I solve for whom, and information and ideas around that. So if someone wants to dive deeper so they can really apply your expertise, maybe figure out that specific strategy about how to really use LinkedIn for their business, or other ways they want to be productive, what's the best way they can do that with you?
Well, there's a couple of ways. Number one, I do one-on-one coaching and consulting. I also do in-house training sessions and workshops on my own. In fact, I just did a LinkedIn workshop yesterday. And so if anybody is interested in having a workshop at their location or would like to sign up for the next LinkedIn, they can do that by emailing me at cheryl@cbmbusinessconsulting.com or checking my website for upcoming seminars. One other thing I'd like to point out is I do have another upcoming seminar on productivity where I'm teaching the 4 strategies to save you 2 to 10 hours a week, and that's going to be on April 19th at Office Alternatives. And once again, people can register on my website for that if they're interested.
Okay, great. And I know that Office Alternatives is here in Richmond, Virginia. So those of you who are outside the area and you may not have recognized the place, that's the region where we're in. Excellent. Okay, we've got to wrap up. So I got to ask you one last thing. What's the one piece of advice you'd like to leave with everyone today? You've covered so much, but what's the one piece you want everyone to remember?
Well, LinkedIn is a free 24/7 billboard for your business. So you should use it to showcase your talents and your business. Because where else do you have a free platform where you can reach 467 million people with the exact content that you want to share? Take advantage of it.
Cheryl, great talking with you today. Thanks for being here and really helping us understand the latest on LinkedIn. Yep, I got to say, I got some work to do, like a lot of those who are listening, but it's definitely worth the time. So thanks again for being here.
Thank you, Mary. I enjoyed it.
Isn't it amazing everything you need to know to run a business? Today's guest shared a bit of their expertise to make us all a little smarter. Often the smartest, most productive thing is not just knowing what to do, but knowing who can do it for you. That's one of the reasons why the EVB Power program is so, powerful. With over 600 members and growing, we have hundreds of women in the region who are experts at what they do, and they share those powerful connections. I know firsthand because as the Director of Power at EVB, I get to talk to them every day and help foster those connections. I'm Julie Hill, and I would be happy to talk to you too. To find out more, reach out to us at evbpower.com.
Wow, that was fast. But we hope that you're feeling recharged and re-energized to continue to power up your business and go after your dreams. Love this Power Plug episode? Let us know. Leave a comment on Facebook or visit us at evbpower.com where you can hear more episodes just like this one to keep believing in the power of you, just like we do.